This is the C-5 Super Galaxy, the largest aircraft in the United States Air Force. It can carry 2 M1 Abrams tanks, 6 helicopters, and over 280,000 pounds of cargo. It's an absolute beast. Well, today I'm out here at Travis Air Force Base, California, home of the 22nd Airlift Squadron, to learn as much as we can about this airplane, including flying inside the flight deck during a real-life training mission to find out what makes the C-5 Super Galaxy one of the most fascinating aircraft ever built. Go!
Lights on. Green contact check, please. Roger.
Now, the C-5 exists for a singular, very important reason: transport. But not just any transport. You see, back in the 1960s, the US Air Force was looking for an aircraft capable of carrying all of the oversized equipment and vehicles used by the US Army, Navy, and Marine Corps. Tanks, helicopters, artillery, things you wouldn't normally associate with putting in the back of an airplane, all of a sudden needed a quick way to be transported all across the world. The Air Force needed something big, so enter the C-5 Galaxy. In fact, at the time of its first flight back in 1968, the Lockheed Martin C-5 Galaxy was the largest aircraft in the world. And over half a century later, it continues to be the workhorse of heavy transport for the US military. So with all that in mind, I say we start with the most iconic feature on the C-5, right here at the nose. At first glance, the front end of the C-5 may look like a standard aircraft. A lot larger, of course, but it does have similar characteristics to other jumbo jets. However, it's not until it comes time to load the aircraft that things get interesting. To fit large, oversized cargo, you need a large, oversized opening. And to up the efficiency of both loading and offloading all of that cargo, the idea was to create 2 openings: your standard aft or rear cargo door, as well as an opening right at the nose. The only problem, well, the flight deck. To solve this issue, the C-5 has a massive nose called the visor that swings open above the flight deck, allowing cargo to be accessed from the front without affecting the crew.
All right, so I've seen this thing open and close a few times now, and it's surprisingly pretty quick. I'd say only maybe 45 seconds, a minute for the entire thing to open. Not too bad.
Just the visor alone weighs over 6,000 pounds and is 20 feet in diameter. After swinging open roughly 60 degrees and rotating into place, the crew then has 2 large-scale entrances, allowing for what's called drive-through loading, meaning you can load cargo in the front at the same time you're loading or offloading cargo in the back. I'm here with Technical Sergeant Jose Rosado, a Loadmaster on the C-5 Super Galaxy. And Rosado, tell me about the Loadmaster position and what makes working on this thing so unique.
So the Loadmaster position, Sam, our job is to load the aircraft safely and get this cargo where it needs to go. And what makes this aircraft unique, in my opinion, is an engineering marvel, Sam. We have the visor open right now, and this aircraft can actually kneel. And when it kneels, it looks like stuff that can't fit can make it fit like a glove.
So when it comes to cargo transport, the Air Force has 2 other platforms, the C-17 and the C-130. How does the cargo carrying capacity of the C-5 compare to the other 2?
So Sam, the C-5 actually carries 36 pallets. That's double that of the C-17 and 6 times that of the C-130, making us the true heavyweight champion of the cargo world.
Now, if it's okay with you, I wanted to play a little game. I'm gonna name off some things and I want you to tell me if they can fit inside the C-5. We'll start out easy. Maybe we'll get a little bit harder.
All right, you have to try hard.
All right, so here we go. Up first, a school bus.
School bus, depending if it's a big school bus, maybe 3, and if it's a short bus, too many. Too many.
A helicopter.
A helicopter, all day.
Easy, right? Okay, an Army tank.
An Army tank, only by special request.
2 M1 Abrams, I think, right?
So I've been told,
An 18-wheeler semi-truck.
18-wheeler semi-truck, yes.
A US Navy boat.
A US Navy boat, multiple.
A NASA satellite.
We have specially modified C-5s for that as well.
A submarine.
A submarine, you can throw a subway in the submarine, Sam, we can get it all.
An 8-lane bowling alley.
8-lane bowling alley, yeah.
A C-130.
A C-130, take the wings off, fits like a glove.
A blue whale, the largest mammal on Earth, may I remind you.
You can throw the blue whale, the mama whale, the papa whale, Sam, it fits.
And last but not least, I have no idea where I heard this, but apparently a C-5 can hold 3.2 million tortillas. Can you confirm that?
I can't confirm that, and I don't know who wants that many tortillas, but if they order it, Sam, we can take it.
So safe to say the C-5 can literally fit anything.
Anything.
Maybe we just animals, winding up and letting go, chasing down the good life. This is what it feels like.
So I'm now inside the cargo hold of the C-5 Super Galaxy, and this area measures 19 feet wide, 13.5 feet tall, and an incredible 121 feet in length. And just to put that length into perspective, that is 1 foot longer than the entire distance the Wright brothers traveled on their first ever flight. Technology and engineering has come a long way.
Heading up the stairs near the front of the aircraft brings you to the forward upper deck. This area seats a flight crew of 6, a relief crew of 7, and room for 8 additional passengers or dignitaries depending on the specific mission. There's also a lavatory, galley area, and 2 bunk rooms with 3 beds in each so the crew can rest on long-haul missions.
I'm Captain Kyler Chern, pilot of the C-5M Super Galaxy. What sets this aircraft apart from every other military aircraft is obviously the size. As you saw outside and you'll see on your flight tomorrow, we can carry more cargo and we can carry it farther than any other airlifter in the world. On top of that, we can carry all the troops that other airlifters can carry.
Dude, I mean, it's probably the biggest flight deck I've ever been in, and there's a lot going on here. Can you kind of walk me through this?
Yeah, of course. So this cockpit's kind of the size of a small office, right? So one obvious difference is right up front with the throttles. Most airplanes will have one set of throttles shared by the pilot and the co-pilot, but this is such a wide body airplane that we have 2 sets of throttles, both mechanically linked, as you can see when I move that.
Yeah.
Up front, we have a glass cockpit, which was a newer upgrade sometime in the last 10 years or so, because the C-5 itself has been around since late 60s, and then newer ones coming around the late 80s, but they upgraded it in the mid-2000s to get a glass cockpit, new engines that are 7 feet in diameter. I can fit inside of those, and they give over 50,000 pounds of thrust, so this thing can get up and get going in a hurry.
So as a pilot, when you're flying heavier cargo versus like a lighter payload, what kind of differences do you feel from up here in the flight deck?
It's a great question. So this plane can take off with a 400,000 pound difference. So we can take off as light as somewhere around 420,000 pounds all the way up to 840,000 pounds. And that'll shift your center of gravity forward and back. It makes landings and taxi a lot different and more challenging. So you have to be ready to fly a whole bunch of different ways, and it can change just on the flight. Taking off from maybe the West Coast and going to Japan, you can burn hundreds of thousands of pounds of fuel, and that can change how you took off dramatically to how you're going to land.
So this being an Air Force jet, do you guys have any countermeasures?
We do have flares like a lot of other airplanes and some other systems, maybe not as robust as a fighter, but we're not exactly alone when we're going downrange.
Okay, not alone. I'm sure you can't share too much, but I imagine with the cargo you guys are carrying, definitely want to protect that.
Yeah.
Now, also unique to the C-5 and only a handful of other Air Force aircraft is the flight engineer. 2 flight engineers sit inside the flight deck with the pilots and are expected to know everything about the aircraft systems and how to fix them if something goes wrong.
So as a flight engineer, you're the systems expert on board. When you're flying, you're running normal checklists, but if should any emergency comes up, you're there to assist the pilots in troubleshooting. The most enjoyable part of my job has got to be pushing the mission. We deal with a lot of issues on the road, so being the systems expert and navigating through those issues is really rewarding because we get to push that mission, and that mission takes us all over the world, so definitely traveling the world as well. So when I joined the Air Force, I actually didn't even know this career field existed. I was a C-130J crew chief, and I did that for a little bit, and during one of my deployments, I had a C-5 come through, and I had to check out the jet because it was 3 times the size of a C-130. So I talked to the crew and I met the flight engineer, and he told me all about his role, and I just thought it was the coolest job. So as soon as I could, I put into cross training.
Moving on now to the back of the C-5, these stairs allow you to access the rear upper deck, or more commonly known as the troop compartment. This area contains 75 additional seats that face backwards and can be used for additional passengers or crew. There are 2 additional lavatories back here, as well as another galley to prepare food during long flights.
Now behind these hatches is a secret passageway. And it's pretty tight, but come with me because I'm going to show you something cool. Welcome to the very top of the C-5 T-tail. I am 65 feet high right now, and if you're wondering why there's a ladder to even get up here, well, it's for maintenance. Should something break, they can come up this ladder and fix it from up here. Which, speaking of maintenance, if you look out in the distance, you'll see some massive airplane hangars. When you have one of the world's largest aircraft, you need one of the world's largest aircraft hangars. And what happens in there is arguably one of the most important missions on the C-5. So I'm gonna find my way down, and then I say we go learn what it takes to fix the C-5 Super Galaxy. So right now we're standing on the wing of the massive C-5, both of which span just over 222 feet and weigh over 40,000 pounds. Now I'm joined here with Staff Sergeant Hoops. He's one of the crew chiefs on this airplane. And dude, what's it take to work on such a massive aircraft?
It takes a lot of teamwork, dedication, attention to detail, given the nature of our aircraft's mission.
Now every aircraft in the Air Force requires a crew chief, but I imagine something like this is a lot different than an F-16 or a fighter jet. How do the two compare?
On this jet, given the nature of the size, it requires more manning. We also rely heavily on different specialties such as avionics, jet troops, hydro, Simco, sheet metal, and aerial repair, who does a bunch of rigging jobs.
There's a lot of people that get the job done.
Sure.
Heading underneath, just like on any airplane, you'll find the landing gear, but on the C-5, it's a bit different. There are 4 sets of main landing gear called bogies, each with 6 tires, as well as a 4-wheel nose landing gear that controls the steering. That makes a total of 28 tires, each of which are 4 feet in diameter. But while the number of wheels is impressive, it makes sense. It's a large airplane. How they work, though, is a whole other story.
Now the landing gear I wanted to ask you about is this front one right here, because I just saw it earlier. It has this pretty cool feature where it can like kneel down and be optimized for loading. How does that work?
Yep, so I can definitely show you on the other side here. So the additional feature that we do have is this kneel pad actuator with the nose. All it really does is, with the kneeling process, nose landing gear retracts slowly, kneel pad actuator is gonna hold it in that proper position. So I mean, we have 3 different types of modes. We have aft kneeling, where you see the aft end kneel down, forward kneeling, which the forward comes down, and then level kneeling. Everything is coming down simultaneously.
And the whole point of the kneeling system is really what? To make the loading easier? You know, the aircraft's so high that I guess what, the ramp can't reach the ground?
Yes, so like, let's say we're level kneeling, right? We have 2 different types of loading modes. So we do have truck bed and drive-in, more specifically drive-in. When we level kneel, the ramp, it needs to touch the ground. And the only reason why we do that is because you don't want to add such a high slope and you don't want to damage the other heavy vehicles that we're trying to load in. We want to make everything easier. We also want to make the loading process safe. And I mean, safety is our main top priority.
It just amazes me that all that weight, hundreds and thousands of pounds, can just be supported on this system right here.
Absolutely. I mean, that's thanks to the main landing gears we see in the back, so.
Pretty crazy.
Because the main landing gears, they're so big, they can't just be swung inboard and stowed. They actually have additional steps, unlike the nose landing gear. So what happens is, in order to retract, the entire bogie is going to rotate 90 degrees horizontally. And it's going to go ahead and follow this track and stow it perfectly inside this little bay area.
There's just so many unique features on this aircraft. Like we've already talked about some earlier. It's like, what do you do when you have such a huge airplane? You make everything work in unique ways. So rotates, fits in it.
I mean, I could explain further, right? But it's going to sound like a class, so.
So at this point, there's really only one thing we have left to do, and that's experience a flight aboard the mighty C-5. There's actually a mission taking off here in a few minutes, and we got the jump seat reserved. Got my bags packed, snacks ready to go. Let's get to it.
Giving everyone a business, so we're the new kids in town. Breaking walls, blowing bridges, leaving rubble like a wrecking ball.
So what's it like taxiing this aircraft? I mean, it's so big, I imagine there's a lot you need to be aware of.
Yeah, it's a big airplane. From wingtip to wingtip, we're about 223 feet, just under it. And so you have to be really aware of your surroundings and your obstacles around the airfield to make sure you do your homework before you start taxiing. So we also have scanners on board who they look through the windows just to back us up. But taxiing is one of the hardest things to do in the C-5 with AR as well.
And I know you have a cool feature where you can kind of like turn on a dime like 180 degrees. How does that work?
Yeah, so we have a caster on this airplane. So the aft bogies actually caster up to 20 degrees and it tightens turns for us. So when we do a 180, we can do a 180 within 150 feet, which is pretty spectacular for the size of this airplane.
That's pretty amazing. Can't wait to see it in action.
Yeah, be cool.
All right, we are airborne here in the mighty C-5 Super Galaxy. I'm here with Captain Jason Faze, our aircraft commander, and Captain Kyle Chern. We've also got the flight engineers in the back making sure the systems are working and we're safe here. But yeah, so Captain Chern, can you tell us a little bit about the flight plan, what we can expect?
Sure thing. So we just took off out of Travis and then took a southwest turn. We're going to do a VFR route across the bay. Right now we're coming up on the Bay Bridge. That'll be off your left side. And then the Golden Gate Bridge will be right off the nose. Alcatraz will be coming over left. So we're going to do a nice tour around the bay, around San Francisco, somewhere around 2,000, 2,500 feet. Low enough that you can get a good view, but not too low that you're with the smaller airplanes. After that, we're going to take a right turn up the coast, go up past Oregon, then hit our AR route, rendezvous with a KC-10 tanker for about an hour, do some aerial refueling, come on back around, and then land at Travis.
Sweet, well I'm gonna get a look at these views. This is crazy, man. The fog's rolling in, the Golden Gate Bridge, best seat in the house.
Yeah, you're lucky you got a pretty good weather day.
So Captain Chern, what is the typical mission for you guys? You know, how often are you flying?
Sure, so one thing that's unique about this plane is that the type of cargo that it can carry. So we're here for outsized and oversized cargo, which means we can take a lot of stuff a lot of different places. We'll typically pick up something somewhere in the United States, whether it's Army, Navy equipment, and then fly it somewhere to another country. So if you're going east, maybe pick it up in Kentucky, stop over in Spain or Germany for gas and rest, and then take it over to the Middle East. If you're taking off out of here, you can get your cargo from almost anywhere, but then you'll maybe go up to Alaska, down to Hawaii, get some gas, go to crew rest, and then fly it over the Pacific, whether it's Guam, Philippines, Japan, Korea, and then you'll come back home. All of that should take about a week or less.
Yes, I know with AR, aerial refueling, you can pretty much fly unlimited, which we'll talk about in a sec, but just on a single tank of gas, how many miles can you guys go?
Yeah, so we actually carry more gas than most tankers, about 330,000 pounds of gas. We're roughly 50,000 gallons.
Wow.
So a little bit more than my Corolla back home. That can take you anywhere, depending on how much cargo you have, because we can carry up to about 180,000 pounds of cargo. So empty or full will decrease your range, but you know, in the neighborhood of 12 to 16 hours, which is somewhere in the neighborhood of a few thousand, 5,000 miles or so, somewhere away from here. So we used to take off out of Dover and go direct Turkey, fully loaded. That'd take about 13 hours.
So 13 hours, how many pilots would you bring on like a mission like that? What's it like to be, flying this thing for that long?
With that long of a mission, you'd bring 3 pilots, 3 loads, and 2 engineers typically. It's nice that this plane has bunks. You know, we have 6 beds on here. We can rotate in and out of pilots, but it's still a pretty long day flying for that long because you'll do 2 in the seat at a time. One will go back, take a nap, and you'll kind of rotate them in and out. So at the end of that day, you're still pretty exhausted. And then other days we'll fly maybe for shorter legs, but for 24 hours total. And you're pretty darn tired at the end of a 24-hour duty day.
So do you have like a favorite mission or favorite place you've been?
My favorite mission would probably be one where we spent some time in Tokyo, and that was mainly more for the crew rest, but some of the more rewarding missions we've done, I've taken some oil spill cleanup supplies up to the Philippines, or some water filtration systems down to Hawaii when they needed it. So there are more rewarding ones, and there's some ones where you get a little more time off in some pretty nice spots.
So there you go, join the Air Force to work or fly one of the world's largest airplanes, fly to Tokyo. It's pretty sweet, huh?
And get paid to do it, not bad.
Exactly. So I decided to get up and stretch my legs for a little bit and check out the cargo area here on the C-5 while we're in flight. And while the C-5's mission today is almost entirely cargo and troop transport, back in the day, the C-5 was actually used to perform airdrops. It wasn't uncommon to see the rear ramp door open while in flight, something you'd expect in a C-17 or a C-130. And in fact, there's one story in particular that's pretty crazy.
In 1974, the United States Air Force airlifted an intercontinental ballistic missile and then dropped it out the back of a C-5 Galaxy over the middle of the Pacific Ocean. The ICBM then fell through the air before kicking on its rocket in time to ascend to altitude. This was a test by the Air Force to see if it was possible or even practical to launch an ICBM out the back of a C-5. Funny enough, the Air Force proved it could be done, but operationally, to this day, it hasn't been necessary.
Right, confirm right inboard system 2.
Right.
On, confirm left inboard system 3.
Confirm.
The C-5 Galaxy was the first transport aircraft to incorporate in-flight refueling capability as an original design feature. The ability to refuel while in the air allows the C-5 to stay airborne indefinitely, with crew endurance being the only thing that limits the aircraft's range.
All right, Sam, so yeah, we're coming in on our
Check
area of
altitude.
fueling here. We're visual with our tanker. We're gonna be on a steady glide path all the way in them. So if you can see where we're at, we're climbing up about 1,000 feet to meet them, and then we're 1 mile out. So for every 0.1 miles that we're coming in, we're looking to go up one other 100 feet.
So at this point, are you feeling, because you're not at altitude with them, there's no like turbulence from their engines, or I guess when you get up there, do you kind of feel that, or you're too low, so it's not a factor?
Yeah, we're not gonna feel any of that until we're about within 70 feet of them, which is actually a pretty good indicator. We start feeling that off their number 2 engine. At that point, it's just kind of a steady increase. And then for AR, the key is like slow is smooth, smooth is fast. So that's the kind of the way that we try to teach, really smooth, controlled closures, you know, that allow you to kind of just get right up into the envelope and keep everything steady and controlled. At this point, we're kind of just proceeding visually. You can start picking up different references that we train to. And yeah, at this point, it's really just all working on the hands and, you know, using that the pilot skill.
I imagine like weather plays a big role in this. I mean, doing it in the clouds or, you know, turbulent weather, how does that play a factor?
Copy, that is definitely a big part, is coming up with a plan and then immediately flexing the plan when you start running into things like, yeah, clouds or turbulence, other things like that. So it's definitely a teamwork exercise between the 2 aircraft to come up with something to be able to get this training knocked out, because we don't get to do it all the time. So any opportunity that we have, we kind of like try to pull all the stops and make it work in whatever way we can.
Sweet, well this is just an amazing view, seeing the KC-10 right from the air, man. Can't wait.
Yeah, it only gets better. It's pretty unreal. I mean, there's only a few people I imagine in the world that can kind of say like, hey, I get to go up and touch another airplane while flying. So as an aviator, it's pretty sick.
It's a flying gas station, man.
Guys, that was an incredible experience. A huge shout out to the 22nd Airlift Squadron and the entire team out here at Travis Air Force Base. This is an aircraft I've been fascinated with for a long time, and it's awesome getting to see the team that fixes it, flies it, and makes the mission happen. I hope you learned something new, and I'll catch you next time.